They called me a nobody with a camera, but Richard made me feel seen, wanted, ruined all at once. Our stolen touches in the darkroom, that desperate kiss under thunder, the truth we both tried to bury, it's all out now. Maya's betrayal turned my secret snapshots into ammunition, the world's eyes tearing him apart, while Connor circles like a vulture, ready to take everything he has left. I stand at the bus station, ticket back to a life that never felt like mine, while Richard waits hidden in the shadows, too broken to ask me to stay, but too haunted to let me go. One step on to that bus and I lose him forever, one step back and I risk burning with him in this storm of lies, desire, and regret. If I turn around now, can we survive the wreckage we made, or will loving him destroy the last piece of me worth saving? I was 20, for a nobody with a camera chasing shadows in New York's art scene. My name's Elliot Carter, and I was drowning Bill's unpaid confidence shot, my lens the only thing keeping me sane. I'd always been too sensitive, too aware of my own edges, messy dark hair, glasses that never sat right, a body I never quite owned. I wanted connection, the kind that burned, but I was too scared to reach for it. My past sharp words from my dad, Maya's endless critics left me convinced I'd never be enough. Being gay was just another secret I buried, too raw to face in a city that chewed up dreamers like me. That summer, I was broke, sleeping on Liam's couch, dodging his reckless parties. Head pushed me to get out, leave a little, but I was stuck, paralyzed by my own head. Then I saw the listing. Assistant wanted, no past, no ties, upstate. It was cryptic, almost a dare, posted by some washed-up photojournalist named Richard Hale. I didn't know his name then, but I felt it a pull like fate. Desperate, I packed my camera and took a bus to the Catskills, leaving behind Maya's texts and the city's grind. The farmhouse was a wreck, sagging under years of neglect, its silence heavy with secrets. I told myself it was just a job, but deep down I wanted escape. Richard met me at the door, and I froze. He was 40, too tall, rugged, with gray streaks in his beard and blue eyes that cut through me. He didn't smile, didn't offer a hand, just sized me up like I was a stray dog. "You're the kid," he said, voice rough, like head smoked too many nights away. I nodded, clutching my bag, feeling small. The house smelled of dust and old film. Half-packed suitcases littered the hall, wore photos pinned to cracked walls, images of chaos, blood, faces I couldn't unsee. Richard didn't explain. He just pointed to a room upstairs and said, "Don't touch anything." I spent that first day unpacking, avoiding his gaze. He moved like a ghost, barking orders. "Fix the darkroom. Don't ask questions." I obeyed, but my eyes kept finding him. His broad shoulders, the way his hands gripped a coffee mug like it might break. I hated how my stomach twisted when he looked at me, like he saw too much. That night, a thunderstorm hit, loud enough to shake the walls. Power went out, plunging us into darkness. I stumbled to the darkroom, where wet negatives were curling in the humidity. I was frantic, trying to save them, when Richard appeared, a flashlight in hand. "Careful, kid," he snapped, but he didn't leave. We worked side by side, the red glow of the safe light casting shadows. Our hands brushed as we reached for the same negative. I froze, heat sparking up my arm. His eyes locked on mine, sharp and unreadable, lingering on my lips. I couldn't breathe. Neither of us spoke, but the air crackled, heavy with something I didn't dare name. He pulled back first, muttering, "Get some sleep." I stood there, heart pounding, knowing I'd felt something I wasn't supposed to. The next morning, he acted like nothing happened, but I couldn't shake it. I kept stealing glances, catching the way his jaw tightened when he thought I wasn't looking. I told myself it was nothing, just my stupid brain projecting. I'd always been too soft, too quick to want what I couldn't have. But Richard wasn't like the guys back in the city, shallow, fleeting. He was solid, haunted, carrying a weight I wanted to understand. I didn't know his story yet, just bits from old articles, a war photographer, a scandal, a fall from grace. Had left a wife, a kid, a whole life behind. Why, I wondered, but I didn't ask, not yet. I started noticing things. He flinched at loud noises, how his hands shook when he poured whiskey. He caught me watching once, and his voice was ice. "Focus on the work, Elliot." But his eyes lingered again, and I felt a spark, dangerous and real. I was terrified of it, of him, of myself. I'd spent years hiding who I was, dodging Maya's control, my dad's disappointment. This job was supposed to be my reset, not a new way to break. But as I lay in bed that night, the storm still raging outside, I couldn't stop thinking about his touch, the heat of it, the way it made me feel alive for the first time in years. By the end of the week, I was restless. Richard kept his distance, but every order he gave felt personal, like a test. "Develop these," he'd say, tossing me film canisters, his fingers grazing mine. I wanted to hate him for making me feel this way small, exposed, wanting. I didn't know what was worse, the fear that he'd see through me or the hope that he already had. I kept my camera close, snapping shots of the house, the negatives, anything to ground myself. But every click felt like I was capturing him instead, stealing pieces of a man who didn't belong to me. The days blurred into a rhythm of work and silence. Richard had me sorting negatives, cleaning equipment, cataloging decades of his photos images of war, pain, moments frozen in time. I felt like an intruder in his world, yet I couldn't stop watching him. His presence filled the farmhouse, heavy and unavoidable. I told myself to focus, to keep my head down, but every glance he threw my way made my pulse jump. I was a mess, torn between wanting to run and wanting to stay. One morning he handed me a stack of old prints, his calloused fingers brushing mine. "Careful with these," he said, voice low. I nodded, my throat tight, and caught his eyes lingering on me, sharp and searching. He turned away fast, but not before I saw a flicker of something curiosity, maybe, or conflict. I hated how it thrilled me. I'd spent years hiding my attraction to guys, dodging feelings that felt too big, too dangerous. But Richard wasn't just some guy. He was a storm, and I was caught in it. We started spending more time together, not by choice but necessity. The darkroom was small, and we'd end up shoulder to shoulder, the air thick with chemical fumes and something else. One night he asked me to help fix a broken enlarge system, projector. I stood too close, our shoulders brushing, and felt a jolt at the contact. "Hold it steady," he muttered, his voice rough but not unkind. His hand grazed mine as he adjusted the enlarger, and I froze, my breath catching. He didn't pull away immediately, his fingers lingering, warm against my skin. Our eyes met in the dim red light, and for a moment I thought he'd lean closer. Instead, he stepped back, clearing his throat. "Finish up here," he said, and left me standing there, heart racing. The tension grew with every shared moment. At dinner one night, he poured me a glass of whiskey, his fingers brushing the glass as he handed it over. "You're not like the others who've come through here," he said, his voice softer than usual. "Why's that?" I asked, daring myself to hold his gaze. He smirked, a half answer. "You don't run from the quiet." I wanted to ask what he meant, but his eyes held mine too long, and I looked away, my face burning. By then I was falling, and I knew it. I'd catch myself staring at the way his hands moved, strong and sure, or the way his jaw tightened when he thought no one was watching. I'd never felt this kind of pull before, not with Maya, not with anyone. It scared me how much I wanted him to look at me, to see me. I'd lie awake at night, replaying every touch, every word, wondering if I was imagining it. I told myself it was wrong, that he was older, broken, untouchable. But the wanting didn't stop. It grew sharp and insistent, like a blade I couldn't put down. One afternoon we were hauling old equipment from the barn. A heavy tripod slipped, and I stumbled. Richard caught my arm, his grip firm, steadying me. "Careful, kid," he said, but his hand stayed, his thumb grazing my wrist. I looked up, and his eyes were on me, intense, unreadable. "You okay?" he asked, softer now. I nodded, unable to speak, my skin alive where he touched me. He let go slowly, like he didn't want to, and walked away, busting a roll of film. His shoulder pressed against mine as we leaned over the tray, and I felt heat climb my neck. "Like this," he said, guiding my hand to adjust the focus. His voice was low, his breath close enough to stir my hair. I nodded, barely hearing him, my whole body aware of his. He didn't move away, and neither did I. The moment stretched charged until he stepped back, muttering about checking the dryer. It wasn't just the touches. It was the way he'd watch me when he thought I wasn't looking, his eyes tracing my face like he was trying to figure me out. One evening we sat on the porch, the air cool, the silence heavy. "Why'd you come here, Iliot?" he asked, his voice cutting through the dark. I fumbled, caught off guard. "I needed something real," I said finally, my voice small. He didn't laugh, didn't mock me. He just nodded like he understood. "Real's hard to come by," he said, and his eyes held mine, too long, too deep. I looked away first, my heart pounding, knowing I was in trouble. The next day I was developing prints when he leaned over my shoulder, closer than he needed to be. "You're good at this," he said, his voice low, almost a whisper. His hand rested on the table inches from mine, and I felt the air shift. heavy with something unspoken. I wanted to say something, anything, but my throat closed up. He lingered, then left without a word, and I stood there, shaking, knowing I was falling deeper into something I couldn't control. The farmhouse felt smaller every day, like the walls were closing in, trapping me with thoughts I couldn't outrun. Richard's presence was everywhere. His low voice, his sharp eyes, the way his hands moved with purpose. I was unraveling, caught between fear and a hunger I didn't want to name. I'd spent years hiding who I was, but with him the mask kept slipping. Every touch, every glance made me feel alive and terrified all at once. One night the rain came hard, drumming the roof, cutting us off from the world. Richard was in the darkroom, sorting through negatives, his shirt sleeves rolled up, forearms taut. I stood in the doorway, watching him, my heart loud in my chest. "Need help?" I asked, my voice barely steady. He glanced up, his eyes catching mine in the red glow. "Come here," he said, softer than usual. I stepped closer, the air thick, my pulse racing. We worked in silence, but the space between us crackled. I reached for a print, and our fingers brushed again, always. This time he didn't pull away. His hand closed over mine, warm and firm, pinning it to the table. I froze, my breath hitching. "Iliot," he said, his voice low, rough, like he was fighting something. I looked up, and his eyes were on me, raw, unguarded. "What are we doing?" he asked almost to himself. I didn't answer. I couldn't. My body moved before my brain caught up, leaning closer, my free hand grazing his arm. He didn't flinch, didn't pull back. His breath was uneven, his eyes locked on my lips. "This is a mistake," he whispered, but he didn't move away. I felt the heat of him, the pull like gravity. "Then why does it feel right?" I said, my voice shaking. I don't know who moved first, maybe him, but suddenly his lips were on mine, hard and desperate, like he'd been holding back too long. The kiss was fire, all heat and need, stealing my breath. His hands found my face, rough thumbs tracing my jaw, pulling me closer. I gripped his shirt, my fingers digging into the fabric, anchoring myself against the storm of it. Every doubt, every fear I'd carried about myself, about wanting men, about being burned away in that moment. But it wasn't just desire, it was him, Richard, broken and real, kissing me like I was the only thing keeping him grounded. He pulled back first, his forehead against mine, breathing hard. "We can't," he said, but his hands stayed on me, betraying his words. "Why not?" I asked, my voice raw, desperate. His eyes searched mine, full of guilt, fear, something deeper I couldn't name. "You don't know me, kid. You don't know what I've done." I shook my head, my hands still on him. "I don't care, I see you." His jaw tightened, and for a second I thought he'd kiss me again. Instead, he stepped back, his hands falling away. "Go to bed, Iliot," he said, his voice cold, shutting me out. I stood there, trembling, the taste of him still on my lips. I wanted to scream, to grab him, to make him admit he felt it too. But his walls were back up, higher than ever. I stumbled to my room, my mind spinning. I'd crossed a line I couldn't uncross, and it scared me because I didn't want to. I'd spent years running from myself, from what I wanted, but that kiss had cracked something open. I felt alive, exposed, and terrified of what came next. The next morning he barely looked at me. "Develop these," he said, tossing me a canister, his voice flat. I nodded, my stomach twisting. I kept replaying the kiss, the way his hands felt, the way he'd looked at me like I was something he wanted but couldn't have. I wanted to talk, to ask what it meant, but his silence was a wall I couldn't climb. Still, I caught him watching me later, his eyes flickering with something like regret. "You okay?" he asked, almost gentle. I nodded, lying. "Yeah." He didn't push, but the air between us was different now, heavy with what we'd done. That night I lay awake, the rain still falling, my mind a mess of want and shame. I'd kissed him, and he'd kissed me back, but now what? I was 24, a kid with no clue who I was, falling for a man who carried ghosts I couldn't understand. I wanted to run, to go back to New York, to the safety of my old life, but I also wanted to stay, to chase whatever this was, even if it broke me. I didn't know if it was love or just need, but it was real, and it was tearing me apart. The kiss changed everything, but nothing at all. Richard kept his distance, his eyes avoiding mine, his voice clipped. I felt it like a bruise. His silence, his rejection. I'd bared something raw, and had shut me out. Still, I couldn't stop wanting him. Every glance, every accidental brush of his hand, set my skin on fire. I hated myself for it, for chasing a man who'd made it clear we were a mistake, but I stayed sorting his negatives, pretending I could keep my heart out of it. Then Maya showed up. I was in the darkroom, rinsing prints, when I heard tires crunching on the gravel outside. My stomach dropped. I knew that sound her old Jeep. She wasn't supposed to be here, wasn't supposed to know where I was. I stepped onto the porch, and there she was, leaning against her car, her dark hair pulled back, her eyes sharp with that mix of concern and control I'd always hated. "Iliot," she said, smiling like we were still something, "you didn't answer my texts." Richard appeared behind me, his presence heavy. "Who's this?" he asked, his voice low, suspicious. I swallowed, my throat tight. "Maya, my friend." Her smile faltered, but she stepped forward, extending a hand. "Maya Torres, I'm here to check on him. He's not great at keeping in touch." Richard didn't take her hand, just nodded, his eyes flicking to me, hard and unreadable. I felt trapped, caught between them. She didn't leave. She followed us inside, her eyes darting over the cluttered farmhouse, the photos, Richard's life. "Nice setup," she said, but her tone was sharp, like she was digging. I knew her too Welsh wasn't here to check on me. She was jealous, always had been, of anything that pulled me away from her orbit. Over coffee, she started asking questions, too many, too pointed. "So, Richard, you're that war photographer, right? The one who disappeared after, what was it? A scandal." My heart sank. She had done her homework. Richard's jaw tightened, his hand gripping his mug. "You've got no business here," he said, his voice cold. Maya leaned forward, unfazed, just curious. "Iliot's working for a legend, but nobody knows why you're hiding out here. Care to share? I wanted to disappear." "Maya, stop," I said, my voice sharp. She ignored me, her eyes on Richard. "He's talented, you know. Too talented to be stuck in the middle of nowhere with someone who's what? Running from his past." I saw the shift in Richard's Isanger, yes, but something else, something wounded. "Get out," he said, standing. Maya didn't flinch. "I'm not leaving without him." My chest tightened. I didn't want to go back to New York, back to her, back to nothing. But before I could speak, she dropped the bomb. "I saw your photos, Iliot. The ones you've been taking of him. Planning to sell his story, make a name for yourself." I froze. I'd been snapping candids of Richard's hands, his profile, moments when he didn't know I was watching. They were private, not for anyone else, but I'd sent a few to Liam, just to show him what I was working on. Had he shown her? Richard turned to me, his face a mask of betrayal. "Is that true?" he asked, his voice low, dangerous. I opened my mouth, but no words came. My silence was enough. "Get out," he said again, this time to me. My heart cracked. "Richard, it's not what you think I started," but he cut me off. "I trusted you." His voice broke, and it hurt worse than anything. Maya smirked like shed one. I grabbed my bag, my camera, and stumbled outside, my eyes burning. She followed me to the driveway, her voice softer now, fake concern. "You don't belong here, Iliot. Come back with me. You're better than this." I shook my head, my hands shaking. "You had no right," she shrugged. "You're throwing your life away for him. He's nobody now." I wanted to scream, to tell her she didn't understand, that what I felt for him was real, more real than anything I'd ever had with her. But I couldn't. I just stood there, watching her drive away, leaving me alone with the weight of what I'd lost. I didn't go far. I sat on the edge of the property, my camera in my lap, replaying everything. Richard's kiss, his anger, Maya's betrayal. I'd crossed a line with him, and now this. I'd taken those photos because I couldn't stop seeing him, because every moment with him felt like something I needed to hold on to. But he thought I'd used him, and I didn't know how to fix it. The farmhouse loomed behind me, dark and silent, and I wondered if I'd ever see him again. The air felt heavier after Maya left, like the world was holding its breath, waiting for me to break. I sat on the edge of the property, my camera heavy in my hands, Richard's words. "I trusted you," cutting deeper than I could stand. I'd messed up bad. Those photos weren't meant to hurt him. They were mine, a way to hold on, to something I couldn't name, something that felt bigger than me. But he saw betrayal, and I didn't know how to make him see the truth. I couldn't go back inside, not yet. My phone buzzed. Liam, my roommate, texting me a screenshot. My stomach dropped. One of my photos of Richard, his face half lit, eyes haunted, was online, posted on some art blog with my name attached. The caption read, "Iliot Carter's latest, the fall of a legend. Maya, Shed leaked it, twisted it, made it look like I was exploiting him." Comments were already piling up, digging into Richard's old scandal affairs, abandonment, a career in ruins. I felt sick. This wasn't what I wanted. I stumbled back to the farmhouse, my heart pounding. Richard was in the living room, staring at his laptop, his face like stone. You see this, he said, not looking at me. His voice was low, dangerous. I nodded, my throat tight. I didn't do this, Richard. I swear. May Ash got the photos from Liam. I never meant. He cut me off, standing, his eyes blazing. You took them, you sent them, that's enough. I stepped closer, desperate. They were for me, not for anyone else. I wasn't trying to sell you out. He laughed, bitter, sharp. You think I haven't heard that before? People like you, they come, they take, they leave. His words hit like a slap. "I'm not like that," I said, my voice breaking. "You don't know me." He stepped toward me, close enough that I could feel his heat, his anger. "I know enough. You're a kid with a camera, chasing a story to make you somebody. I was your ticket, right?" I shook my head, tears burning my eyes. "No, it was never about that. It was about you." For a second his face softened, like he wanted to believe me. But then his walls went up again. "Get out, Iliot. Go back to your city, your ex, your little life." I stood there, shaking, wanting to grab him, to make him see I wasn't lying. But he turned away, and I felt something in me crack. "I felt something," I said, my voice raw. "That kiss, it meant something. Don't tell me it didn't." He froze, his back to me, but he didn't turn around. "It was a mistake," he said, quiet, final. I left the room, my chest tight, and locked myself in the guest bedroom. My phone kept buzzing, more notifications, more comments, people tearing into Richard's past, calling him a has-been, a fraud. My name was tied to it, like I'd planned it all. I wanted to scream, to tell the world it wasn't true, but hod believe me. I'd taken those photos, and now they were a weapon. I thought about leaving, catching the next bus back to New York, but the idea of going back to that empty life, Liam, the grind made me feel hollow. Hours later, I heard a knock. Richard stood in the doorway, his face tired, eyes red. "Why are you still here?" he asked, his voice softer now, almost broken. I stood, my hands shaking, "Because I don't want to run, not from you." He looked at me, searching, like he was trying to find a lie. "Your trouble, Iliot," he said, but there was no venom in it. I stepped closer, my heart in my throat. "So are you, but I'm still here." He didn't move, didn't speak, just stared at me, and I saw the same want, the same fear I felt. Then my phone lit up again, another post, this time with more photo. Zones I hadn't even sent to Liam. Richard's private moments, his pain, splashed online for everyone to see. "Did you do this?" he asked, his voice shaking. I shook my head, frantic. "No. I don't know how, but he was already gone, the door slamming behind him." I sank to the floor, my head in my hands, guilt and anger choking me. Maya had done this, but I'd given her the ammunition. I'd lost him, and now the world was tearing him apart because of me. I didn't sleep that night. I kept seeing his face, the way Head looked at me before he walked away. I wanted to fix it, to take it all back, but how? I'd crossed a line with those photos, and now with the kiss, with everything. I was falling for him, and it was ruining us both. I didn't know if I could stay, but leaving felt like giving up on the only thing that had ever felt real. I couldn't leave, not after everything. The leaked photos, Maya's betrayal, Richard's anger weighed on me, but the thought of walking away from him hurt more. I stayed in the guest room, my bag packed, my camera untouched. The farmhouse was silent, but I felt him out there, somewhere, wrestling with his own ghosts. I'd messed up, but so had he, shutting me out like I was nothing. I needed to face him to make him hear me, even if it broke us both. It was late, the rain gone, leaving a heavy stillness. I found him in the darkroom, surrounded by scattered negatives, his hands trembling as he held one up to the light. His face was raw, unguarded, like he'd been fighting himself all night. "Richard," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. He didn't turn, but his shoulders tensed. "You're still here," he said, not a question, his voice rough with exhaustion. I stepped closer, my heart pounding. I couldn't go. He turned then, his eyes meeting mine, tired and haunted. "Why not? You've got your story. My life's already out there, thanks to you." His words cut, but I saw the pain behind them. "It wasn't me," I said, stepping closer. "I took those photos because I couldn't stop seeing you. Not to hurt you, never that." He laughed, bitter. "You think that makes it better? You saw me, Iliot, and you still used me." I shook my head, my voice breaking. "I didn't." Maya twisted it. "I sent one photo to Liam. That's it. I never meant for this." I was close now, close enough to see the lines etched deep in his face, the weight of years had never shared. "I'm sorry," I said, "and I meant it, for everything, the photos, the kiss, the mess I'd made." He looked at me, searching, like he was trying to find the lie. "You don't know what you're doing to me," he said, his voice low, almost a growl. "Then tell me," I said, my hands shaking. "Tell me what you're hiding, Why you're here, why you push me away. He stepped closer, his breath uneven. You want the truth, I ran. From my wife, my kid, my life. I broke everything I touched, and now you're here, making me feel things I swore I'd never feel again. His voice cracked and my chest ached. Am not her, I said. Am not them. I see you, Richard, the real you. He grabbed my shoulders, his grip tight, his eyes burning into mine. You don't get it. Poison Iliot. I ruin people. I didn't flinch, didn't pull away. Then ruin me, I said, my voice steady despite the fear. His breath hitched, and for a moment we just stood there, the air thick with everything unsaid. Then he kissed me, not like before soft, raw, like he was giving in to something had fought too long. I kissed him back, my hands finding his face, his neck, pulling him closer. It wasn't just a kiss, it was a confession, a surrender. His hands slid to my waist, gentle but sure, and I felt every wall between us crack. We didn't speak, didn't need to. I felt his heartbeat against mine, his warmth, the weight of his past and mine melting into this moment. It was deeper than the first time, not just need but something heavier, trust, maybe, or hope. When he pulled back, his forehead rested against mine, his breath shaky. I don't know how to do this, he whispered. Then we'll figure it out, I said, my voice raw, together. He looked at me, his eyes soft for the first time, like he believed me. But then his phone buzzed on the table, a notification lighting up the screen. Another post, more photos, this time with comments accusing him of worsleys about his scandal, his family, twisted truths that made my stomach turn. He let go of me, his face hardening. This doesn't stop, he said, his voice flat. You should go, Iliot, before it gets worse. I shook my head, stepping closer. I'm not leaving you to face this alone. He looked at me, torn, like he wanted to believe me, but didn't know how. You don't owe me anything, he said. I do, I said, my voice fierce, because I'm in this, Richard. I'm in it with you. He didn't answer, but his hand found mine, squeezing tight, and for the first time I felt like we were on the same side, even if the world was against us. The farmhouse felt like a battlefield, littered with the wreckage of what we'd started. Richard and I stood on the edge of something real, but the world kept clawing it away. The leaked photos had spiraled, online vultures tearing into his past, my name tangled in the mess. I'd stayed, told him I was in this, but doubt gnawed at me. Could I really stand with him, or was I just a kid chasing a feeling I didn't understand? That morning, a truck rumbled up the drive. Connor, Richard's estranged brother, stepped out, his face hard, eyes cold. I'd heard about him bits from Richard's late night stories, a brother he hadn't seen in years. You're still here, Connor said, looking at me like I was dirt. Richard appeared, tense, his voice sharp. What do you want, Connor? Connor smirked, holding up papers. This place, it's mine too. Sell it, or I drag you through court. Your name's mud already. I stood frozen, watching Richard's face tighten. This isn't your fight, he told me, but Connor's eyes locked on me. You're the kid with the camera, right? Stirring up his past. You're why he's falling apart. My stomach twisted. That's not true, I said, but my voice shook. Connor laughed. You're using him just like everyone else. Richard didn't defend me, didn't speak. His silence cut deeper than Connor's words. Connor left, but his threat lingered. Richard turned to me, his eyes dark. He's right about one thing. This place is a trap. I should have sold it years ago. I stepped closer, desperate. Don't let him win. This is your home. He shook his head, his voice low. It's a graveyard, and you're caught in it because of me. I wanted to argue, to tell him he was wrong, but my phone buzzed. Another post, this time with a photo of us grainy, taken from afar, too close to hide what we were. My heart stopped. Someone knew. Richard, I said, showing him the screen. His face paled, then hardened. Who did this? He demanded. I shook my head, panic rising. I don't know. Maya, Liam, someone else. He grabbed my shoulders, his grip tight. This ends now, Iliot. Go back to New York. Save yourself. I pulled away, angry. I'm not running. I told you I'm in this. His eyes searched mine, torn. You'll lose everything, your career, your life. I'm not worth it. I grabbed his shirt, my voice fierce. You don't get to decide that. We stood there, inches apart, the air thick with fear and want. I wanted to kiss him, to hold on to what we'd found, but Connor's papers were on the table, the online posts piling up, and that photos, exposed, changed everything. I'd spent years hiding who I was, but now the world might know, and I wasn't ready. Neither was he. What do we do? I asked, my voice small. He didn't answer, just looked at me like he was memorizing my face. Hours later, I stood at the bus station, my ticket to New York in one hand, my camera bag at my feet. The air was cold, the platform empty. I kept seeing Richard's face. The way Head looked at me, like I was both his salvation and his ruin. I could go back to the city, to Maya's games, Liam's chaos, a life that felt safe but empty. Or I could turn back, face Richard, the photos, Connor, the world. My phone buzzed another post, another comment shredding us. I turned it off, my hands shaking. I looked down the road where the farmhouse was, hidden in the trees. Richard was there, I knew it, watching from his truck, parked just out of sight. I'd seen the glint of it as I walked away. He hadn't come after me, but he hadn't left either. We were both stuck, caught between what we wanted and what we feared. The bus pulled up, its doors hissing open. I stood there, my heart pounding, the ticket heavy in my hand. Did I step on, leave him behind, or turn back and fight for something that might destroy us both? The choice was mine, and it burned.